Good day and welcome to another edition of Citizens Movement Radio News. Today is Thursday, 13 November 2025. I'm Bernard Chele, ready to bring you the latest news and updates. Here are today's headlines on Citizens Movement Radio News. Scala back in South Africa court for bail hearing. Madzivanyika calls for reduction of passport fees. Mrombedzi calls for modernization of the country's railway transport system. Now let's delve into the detailed stories. Politician and former MP for Zengeza West Honorable Job Scala was back in court today in Pretoria, South Africa for bail hearing. Scala is facing charges of possession of explosives, which he says were planted in his car by political opponents. Let's get the latest on that story.
Politician and human rights lawyer Job Scala, together with his co-accused uncle Alexander Tema, were granted bail of 10,000 rands each by the Pretoria Magistrates Court in South Africa this morning. The two were arrested last week after 26 blasting cartridges and 15 capped fuse connectors were found in their vehicle in Pretoria by South African Police Service, SAPS. The case has now been moved to February 3, 2026 to allow investigations to continue. Scala, a former St. Mary's MP, briefly told reporters that he believes in South Africa's judiciary and maintains that the explosives were planted in his car. Let's hear him speaking.
I believe that South Africa has an independent judiciary. Here there is no fedja things. Yes. There is no fedja judiciary. There are no fedja investigations. They have found out that these things have been planted in our car.
Meanwhile, in a statement following the bail ruling, the National Democratic Working Group, NDWG, where Scala serves as chairman and chief facilitator, expressed satisfaction with the court's decision, commending the South African judiciary for its fairness and independence. The NDWG said the granting of bail marks an important step towards Scala's freedom and demonstrates the impartiality and integrity of South Africa's justice system. In a separate case in Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe Jr., who was being charged for illegal possession of drugs, has been fined $300 US. In addition to the fine, Robert Jr. was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment, which were wholly suspended on condition that he does not commit a similar offense. Reporting for Citizen Movement Radio News, I am Langton Mwanaka.
The Member of Parliament for Mbizo, Honorable Koban Madzivanyika, has called for the government to reduce passport fees so that citizens can afford the travelling document. Speaking in Parliament this week, Honorable Madzivanyika said the current astronomical passport fees are beyond reach of many and the poor. Let's hear Honorable Madzivanyika speaking.
Section 33, subsection 3 of our National Constitution of Zimbabwe provides that passports and other travel documents are a fundamental right which Zimbabweans across the latitude and the longitude of this country must access. Under our current circumstances in Zimbabwe, to obtain an ordinary passport, you need to fork out $170 US at the moment. But if you compare this $170 US with countries in the Southern region, you will find that we are paying our charges in Zimbabwe are exorbitant. Let me give an example. In South Africa, the cost of a passport is equivalent to the price of an ordinary passport is equivalent to $40 US. In Botswana, the cost of an ordinary passport is equivalent to US $30. So look at this staggering difference between Zimbabwe charges on passports and other countries in the region. This clearly indicates that the right to passport is not accessible. The right to passport and the travel documents is beyond the reach of men in this country. I therefore raised this fundamental issue in Parliament yesterday. The Honourable Minister did not respond to the best of our expectations. So it is very important that we raise this issue, and also to add on to that one, we expect the passport to be reduced to around $50 US for ordinary passports. Secondly, we expect exemptions, particularly to those vulnerable groups, such as the disabled. They must get a passport for free. The blind must get a passport for free. So, it is my humble submission that the current government or the current dispensation has failed dismally to ensure that a fundamental right to passport and travel documents is given to the majority of Zimbabweans. It is now a very serious crisis that will need to be addressed as a matter of urgency.
The Women's Proportional Representation MP for Mashonaland West, Honorable Mutsamuro Mbedzi, has called for adequate funding of National Railways of Zimbabwe, NRZ, so that it improves its railways transport system in line with modern standards. Speaking at the pre-budget seminar, Honorable Murombedzi said Zimbabwe can learn from China, which has an efficient railway transport system. Let's hear Honorable Murombedzi speaking.
Indeed, if NRZ is going to get money from the fiscus, it should be money for modernization. It should be money for the complete overhaul of the railway system in Zimbabwe. If because we cannot continue to fund NRZ in its current state. It's outdated, and the world has moved on. For an example, in China, you have trains that travel 1,400 kilometers in about 4.5 hours to 5 hours. Why should we continue to have our people travel a distance of, say, 400 kilometers in over 10 hours? That is unacceptable. We need to move on. We need to upgrade. We need to move with time. Technology has changed, and technology is now available for that. So if NRZ is going to get money from the fiscus, if NRZ is going to get money, taxpayers' money, it should be money to upgrade to something that's better. Because time, for our people, time is dignity. Time is money. And it will actually lessen, the time from Harare to Chegutu, a distance of 100 kilometers. It takes an hour by road, but with the train, with a fast moving G train like in China, it might take 10-15 minutes. So our people deserve better. Our people deserve dignity. We need that from NRZ. And if it is to get money from people's money from the fiscus, it must be money to modernize, money to upgrade the complete overhaul of NRZ, so that we move with time, so that we compete with other nations, so that our people are dignified when they're traveling.
The police have released a statement saying they have commenced investigations into a case of abduction of two Chinwe University of Technology students, Lyndon Zanga and Marvin Madanda. Human rights defender and the victim of abduction himself, Robson Chere, said they welcome the police decision to investigate the case if they are sincere about it. He said the public have lost confidence in the police's willingness to investigate abduction cases, given that they ignored previous abduction cases. Following the abduction of two university students recently, Teachers Trade Union ATUZ has launched a campaign to raise awareness against political violence and abductions. ATUZ President Obed Masaraure said they have declared every Friday a National Day of Peace, where they are calling for citizens to hold peaceful demonstrations against violence. A CCC councillor for Ward 6 in Epworth, Nobody Makoni, was acquitted by the High Court of Zimbabwe last week after being previously convicted by the Magistrates Court for allegedly demanding a US $450 bribe from a resident to facilitate a land transfer. His conviction had triggered a by-election in August, which was won by ZANU-PF candidate. However, the by-election was held unconstitutionally, taking place 62 days after the vacancy arose instead of the 90 days required by the Constitution. Makoni began his political career in 2000 and once served as a bodyguard to the late MDC president Morgan Richard Tsvangirai. Let's hear Makoni speaking about his acquittal.
Maswera sei right nyaya iripo ndekuti anoda kungotaura ndekuti ndinzwa hangu mufaro nekuti handiwo sematare anozvinyirira vanhu. Dare repamusoro rine vatongi vanotonga zvakanaka. Iri repasi riri retunhuro iri hawatarise nyaya kana kuteerera, asi vanongoti vanhu ngavaende kungorongedza vanhu, vanorongedza vanhu ndosaka majera akazara. Asi ini hangu nekutongwa kwandakaita nemutongo wandakapiwa wakandibata pakutanga kudare repasi, asi dare repamusoro ndinotenda kuti vanotonga chokwadi, havatonge munhu asi vanotonga chokwadi. Sadare repamusoro ngarikongorerwe rirambe rakadaro, chero munhoroondo dzematare dare repamusoro rehigh court rinotonga zvakanaka, asi tinoda kuti ririwedzere uyezve ringopa vanhu kodzero pazvinhu zvavo zvavanenge vakunda, kuti aiwa vanhu hafaniri kutorerwa kana zviri zvigaro, kana especially pamatongo enyika. Kana munhu anzi akwitirwa aiwa haana mhosva, saka ngaringopa vanhu matsamba akakwana. Tiende mberi, mberi ndokwatinoda, nekuti tinotarisira kuti vanotonga zvakanaka. Chero mari dzemushando ngavawedzerwe kana hurumende ikachinja, kana nyika ikachinja, kuti tachinja hurumende, vanhu vanofanira kuwana pfuma, kwete kuvapa mota nekuvavhara-vhara asi vane nzara. Izvo hazvibati. Ngavapuwe mari yakanaka mukurarama kwavo nemukugara kwavo, ndizvotifambire. Ndinotenda hangu mazviita.
A survey released by Afrobarometer recently shows that a third of citizens interviewed are no longer afraid of violence in elections. This is a drop compared to the situation in 2009 when the 4 out of 5 people interviewed said they were afraid of violence in elections. Political analyst Jefferson Chitando said the drop in percentage does not mean absence of political violence, but it shows that citizens have become accustomed to the culture of political violence under ZANU-PF. Let's hear Chitando speaking.
The Afrobarometer survey results is only vindicating the situation on the ground. It's true that people might be seen not to fear political violence from ZANU-PF as compared to 2008, 2009. There are some factors which people should understand which contributed greatly to this. First, it was the COPAC outreach programs, which all political party members would sit down and contribute their party positions in front of members of parliament of ZANU-PF and the MDCs. This in its own was a healing process. This brought people closer to each other. There were bridges which were built by COPAC, which if the country had pursued that program on another note, we would have seen harmony, peace, and loving society. The second issue about violence dropping is because people have built or have developed a thick skin against violence. When you put a cat in the corner, it will have to fight for its life. This is the same situation which we are finding in Zimbabwe currently. Most of the people who were tormented, persecuted by ZANU-PF, they openly confront ZANU-PF members that they will retaliate. This has also shaken the arms of violence, the merchants of violence. So it's not a question that there's absence of violence in the country. It is still there. but it is only society which is turning into another level, another leaf, another reaction.
Government sources say Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema will be in Zimbabwe tomorrow for a state visit. This will be Hichilema's first visit in the country since he came to power. Curiously, Hichilema's government had a sour relationship with Emmerson Mnangagwa's regime, which were further strained when Zambia condemned the 2023 election that was rigged by Mnangagwa. In our regional news, Tanzanian opposition leader Tundu Lissu will remain in prison after his trial was indefinitely adjourned on Tuesday. The adjournment follows Lissu's application rejecting a state witness, citing a bizarre scenario where a state witness only identified as P11 was concealed to the court. The court, requesting more time to respond to Lissu's application, the Chadema leader is facing trumped-up charges of treason. Now let's take a look at our sports news. Zimbabwe men's senior national soccer team, the Warriors, are in Saudi Arabia where they are scheduled to play Algeria in a friendly match. The match will be played at Prince Abdullah Al Faisal Stadium at 6:30 local time. The last time the two sides clashed was 5 years ago at the National Sports Stadium and the match ended 2-0. Both sides are using the match as part of their preparations for AFCON tournament in Morocco in December. The race for World Cup qualification is still on, with one of the 4 African countries still having a chance to book their place at the biggest football showpiece next year via playoffs. Nigeria play Gabon while DRC clash with Cameroon this evening in Morocco in the playoff semis. The two winners will then fight for the ticket to represent Africa at the Intercontinental Playoffs for qualification. To conclude our Citizens Movement Radio News, here are the headlines once more. Scalabek in South Africa court for bail hearing. Madzivanyika calls for reduction of passport fees. Murombedzi calls for modernization of the country's railway transport system. The news on CMRI English was brought to you by Bernard Chele. Me and the whole team wishes you all a wonderful evening. Good night to you all. Meet me again in another news bulletin.